Kenpo karate, Kenpo politics. Today I'm going to talk about this topic. Is it the South Korean magic? In brackets, Kazo does a Thai otoshi or body drop in judo. I said Kenpo karate, but Kenpo karate encompasses many kinds of martial arts. So you can even put judo within. Today's resource person is Dennis Katana Harrison. That is a name from the coastal area, a name from Mombasa, a name from Vita. And funny enough, katana means cutting, and it can mean comb, and katana is a samurai sword. It's called katana. So all these things come together. Kazo today is teaching Tayotoshi or body drop. Lesson from the Kenyan beauty, coastal beauty. Tayotoshi is a kind of throw that is applied to knock somebody on the ground. There are other more powerful throws, but when properly executed, it can be able to damage somebody's spinal cord or the back, the area towards the lower part of the spinal cord. If the one that is thrown down does not know how to break the fall, or it catches him off guard, or it's properly executed. But it's a throw that is executed and followed up with another attack, like a lock or a choke. So I'm going to look at this South Korean plan that we've heard of. We should be there and see how the Koreans achieved theirs. It started by a president who had taken over, he overthrew the government. He was called President Park Chung-hee. Park Chung-hee. That was in 1961. We were not there. Oh, many of us were not there. To 1979, we were there. Some called him a dictator. And I've heard many people saying, our president, the other president of another country, and other countries are dictators. Let's get back to the meaning of the word dictator. What's a dictator? When the Romans started their system, they would give somebody powers to command the war. You know, a commander in war has power over life because he can order you to a place and you can get killed following his order. And that is where the name dictator came. He had powers to command, powers to oversee things during the war. He was called a dictator. I've heard many people misuse the word dictator. So let's look into the word dictator. A dictator is anybody who is given power of life and death. Tell me which country in the world has a president who doesn't have power over life and death. A president will order, when the country is attacked, the army to war. You will die defending your country. But who has to put the signature? The president, the prime minister, or something like that. When somebody is to be executed after a sentence, it has to be taken to a president where if he signs death, then death will happen, and if he pardons, he can change it to life imprisonment. That's the way it goes. So let's speak by the meaning of the word in English. Which country doesn't have a dictator? Which one? Where the president cannot order people to go to war? He does not sign when people have to be, and in all other big issues, his signature and his decision is paramount. Do we have such a country in the world? A country without a dictator? So every president, every prime minister, every king in the world during that time, if he is ruling the country, he has powers of a dictator. Let's get that one clear. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the development of a country that was together with us during our independence. We were at the same economical level. Nowadays it's in another class. When this president took over, he did the following things. And I'm going to use them following the song that a great musician from Kenya sang. Jambo, jambo bwana, habari gani, mzuri sana, wageni, wakaribishwa, Kenya yetu, hakuna matata, Kenya nchi nzuri, hakuna matata. That is a song, Jambo Bwana, by Dennis Katana Harrison and the group that time called them Mushrooms. Them Mushrooms. Those who were there, like I was young, I was there. We will listen to this music from this group. So what did they do? The key foundations of export-led growth. They were a country that used to do a lot of importation and little exporting. They made sure they had the balance of trade in their favor. In their favor. And we've heard of a time when we shall start contributing our visions to the nation. So being a tourist country, I'm putting this at level 5. We have the big 5. Kenya is known for the big 5: the leopard, the lion, the buffalo or the buffalo, the rhino, and the elephant. So export-led growth, I give it the leopard. This is a planning where you have to sit down, see how you will balance your economy, how you will balance the finances so that the people in the country are comfortable. Economically, you go up, not leaving the people, because there are sometimes when some countries say they have got a good GDP, but the people are suffering. So it has to be in relation. The growth of economy to the relation in the comfort of life. That's what they did. So that one be presented by the leopard. Why did I say a leopard? A leopard is an animal that is very secretive. It does everything balanced. It will know how to survive where people are. It may live with you for years without you knowing it lives within your vicinity. When it is in the forest, it's a hunter. When it is by the river, a leopard can fish. So to have a balanced economy, you have to have several things working together. Production, export, these other auxiliary services, matching, so that you have an economy that is growing and an economy that will not hurt the people. There are times when people look at things and they complain because we had, I tried to explain to you what I understood by the bottom-up economy. I'm going to relate it to whatever is happening in the Korean vision. I talked about Bungoma, where I am. There are times when you talk to people and they'll tell you, some people, nothing has happened totally. We expected to be up. We expected to have money in the pocket. And it's being said countrywide. And sometimes you look at it, you feel you can concur, you feel you may not concur. But now let's be very serious about the issue. In the process of trying to develop the economy of a place, you have to balance with the infrastructure. Let's say there is nothing that has happened. I want to tell you the nothings that have happened in Bungoma. When I came to Bungoma, my wife was trading at Soko Kubwa. It was an old structure. That time, the Chepkuben market was put up. I'm talking of the length of time I've been here. And people from that place were asked to look for stalls. They could not take everybody, but they were asked to look for stalls in Chepkuben market. That's one of the nothings that happened. Where the Soko Kubwa was, there is another nothing that is happening, several stories. And there are 3 other nothings happening. And infrastructure, the roads, going to Mateka, tarmac. Oh, there is nothing that has happened on the road. So there is a lot of nothingness in the form of dust and a lot of nothingness in the form of roughness. That is a leopard approach shown by a man from here. He has organized. You cannot say they are nothing because that nothingness is seen with you walk and you see the nothingness with your eyes and you see the nothingness is something. And that has gone across the countryside. The other day I was also talking of another servant of the people who has done a lot of nothingness in his place. And the nothingness was tangible to the extent that those who have employed him could not be able to ask any question because the nothingness was clearly visible. So let's be truthful when we are approaching this issue. When something has been done, let's say something has been done. You cannot say there is nothing while tangible things are there. Infrastructures cost a lot of money. Things like markets, when they are there, properly put, this is what happens. When I was a young child, there was something called government stores. The government can be able to use the infrastructure and stock every market so that you have shops, wholesale and whatever, so that you have a balanced economy countrywide, where you don't have great variations of prices, you don't have something pitching you very hard, and that can only be done by putting the infrastructure. So I wouldn't call it nothing, but to those who would look at it and see it as nothing, then how do you oppose the nothingness? So that is a balanced economy. That is the first thing they did. The leopard, we have a leopard, the Ingwe from this place has done that nothingness. I've moved and seen that nothingness all over the place. So, do we say nothing? He has done something. So we go to state intervention, the lion. State intervention is the state, the government, is now to levelize when you have things like the infrastructure and everything. Levelize the ability to get money so that you can now be able to get reasonable loans, because the first place we may say money was so much pressed in the building of the infrastructure. Now you ask for something reasonable so that you can be able to start something in these markets, in those places that you can see. There is this housing project. I don't know. We call that one also another thing. They're being built. So that is the first thing that happens, levelizing the economy and the state in which the people operate. And then now provide the funds, provide the markets, provides the necessary auxiliary services, transport and whatever. That is state intervention. I call that the lion, because a lion is a very cooperative animal. It lives in family groups, prides, and they share. In fact, when some lions have gone to hunt, the lioness left will circle, those left will circle all the cubs that are there as they protect them, while the others are hunting. So this is the state intervention. Then we come to tribal or partnership. In Kenya, I will call this the buffalo. This is where people storm everything. Powerful central planning agencies. That is what China has been doing. They get markets this far. And then internal equalization of accusation of things, the use of money. These things we are talking of being unfair. The money you get cannot be able to sustain you. Things like medical, the one we were saying, if we are given free medical and given free education, and then we are able to operate within that, we shall be able to function. Those are the things that now the tribal partnership came up with. It is there. That's why I think we are being called to go for giving our views. Please give your views, because they will make changes and permanent changes in your life. That's what happened to South Korea. And in these agencies, you have things like transport, things like the banking services, and such like things, and those loans and whatever that we shall get from the counties and whatever. Those are the things that happen. So, how would you like them structured? Those future nothingness. So that when you walk, there is a lot of nothingness everywhere, and you're happy because you see the nothingness. Then there is Economic Planning Board. This is where I was talking about the type of government, the markets. You can have your towns being markets that you provide food. Things like that operate within your systems. Government planning, local government planning, so that they create the market level, the market state, and these other things that can be able to go with that. It needs a lot of planning. And then foundational reforms. This one, the economic planning, we have given it rhino. It's an animal that charges, and when it charges, it can cause a lot of damage. Then the foundational reforms, that is the elephant, which is the biggest. Education, heavy investments, companies. This is where we think of building our own cars, creating, assembling our own computers. Name it, making our own textile with local grown materials. I said Indian hemp can make material, Kenaf can make material. We go to other materials different from the material we know produces those clothes. We have sugar. In places where there's sugar, deal with sugar. In other places, you can introduce beetroots. Beetroots produce sugar in Europe. So that we have a change, a complete change in our vision, a change that will make us impact on the world stage. This is where we have, like in South Korea, they have got buses, and then there is an electric line that passes under the roads. It produces electromagnetism. These buses are made in that they pick the electromagnetism. You have a very small battery. It will operate throughout because it's being charged as it goes on the road. Electromagnetism converted back to electricity, and the vehicles keep moving. We can do that. There are many other things that we can be able to do. If we get together, and that is the call, contribute your views so that the nothingness we call nothingness, we shall be able to call them something. This is just a beginning. If we contribute our plans and ensure that the government is working, we shall be comfortable economically, because now that is the next stage. We shall have a vision that can be able to be followed up. South Korea started it in 5 years. We plan it now. We can do the start in 5 years. And wherever we live everything flowing within that range. If you have seen something out of the nothingness. If you haven't, those are my views. Me, those things that people have said are nothingness, I've seen them physically. So those nothingness are visible. So I don't know. If you can't see the nothingness, then those are my views. I'm not saying that's how you should think, but those are my views. That's my take for now concerning that South Korean dream. The big five, the leopard, the lion, the buffalo, the rhino, and the elephant. That will be on top of this video. That's my take for now.